Hello and welcome to what is probably another glitchy coronavirus lockdown live stream, the show that brings welcome levity to the end of the world, lifting the spirits of many of you currently in self-isolation by infecting as many as possible with comfort and distraction as the apocalypse unfolds. I'm afraid I'm not in my typical apostate get-up as in the previous episode. That was a one-off, I'm afraid, unless there is a compelling reason. I'm never say never. I can see it happening again where I put on my hoodie and my eye mask. Let me know in the comments whether it's glitchy, whether I'm understood. I don't really understand what the problem is. The system I'm using is StreamYard, and sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. So apologies in advance. Eventually, I'm going to have to get to the bottom of it, aren't I? Billy Jet with some very motivational words there. Get him, Lloyd. Ugh. Okay, I will do my very best. Nathan wants to know, is everyone still alive? Presumably, at least some people are alive, Nathan. Good to see you're alive, if indeed a Facebook comment can be taken as proof of life, and I think it should. Rianne says, I'm fine. That's good to know. Matthew Tino, Randy Rod says, good afternoon, Lloyd. So many comments flicking in. It's hard for me to isolate a single one, which is really good to see. I'm trying to find Matthew Tino's comment because I hate mentioning someone and then not reading their comment. There we are. Matthew Tino says, I'm still alive. I know you were all worried. It was touch and go for a moment there, Matthew, but it's good to see you pulled through. So I like to begin these lockdown live streams, as you all know. Oh, I really am glitching there, aren't I? I do apologize. I like to begin with a reading. And at the moment, I'm reading from chapter 6 of Take Back Your Life by Janja Lalich and Madeline Tobias. This is a chapter on leaving cults. And the section I'm about to read deals with, it's titled Loss of the Leader. And it deals with the situation where people are in the process of, I guess, leaving a cult when they also lose their leader for some reason. So let's see what it says. The loss of the leader may cause a group to disband unless there is a member with similar emotional characteristics and leadership qualities who can convince the group to follow him. I guess that's what happened when Russell died and Rutherford took over. Often there is a struggle for leadership, which may result in some groups becoming less authoritarian, while others become even more restrictive and abusive. Whether the leader retires to a warmer climate, gets arrested, is overthrown by his followers, or dies, the initial effect of his absence is disorienting to the group. Members react in various ways. They may rationalize the loss, blame society, wait for the return or rebirth of their leader, or for their promised salvation, blame themselves, or simply drift apart. This rationalization, or making excuses, is an emotional defense against anxiety. It is typically used in cults to explain behaviors that contradict or violate the teachings. Rationalization stops analytical thinking and reinforces dependency. This dependency may continue long after the leader is gone. Rationalization is common when the leader's personality and behavior are erratic. Thus, members may regard the leader's leaving as one more admirable action rather than a betrayal. The following is an illustration of such rationalization. Dr. D, the leader of a psychotherapy cult, was highly admired by his followers for his unique style of therapy and his glamorized, adventurous lifestyle. A self-proclaimed millionaire and entrepreneur, he stated that success such as his was possible for all his clients who followed his teachings and example. When Dr. D announced his retirement, he claimed he was exhausted from his tireless work on his client's behalf and needed to recover in a warmer climate. Turning his practice over to others, he made vague comments about returning someday. His clients, trained over the years to accept his lengthy vacations and unpredictability, accepted the news with ambivalent feelings. They rationalized their loss and looked forward to the day when they would be healthy enough to follow his example. They envied his apparent freedom, taking the announcement as new evidence of his highly evolved life instead of the desertion it truly was. Fortunately, through sessions with an ethical therapist, most of the followers were eventually able to see Dr. D for the con artist he was and consider his departure a blessing rather than a loss. Waiting for the return or rebirth of the leader or for the promised salvation can go on for long periods of time. Cult members may wait indefinitely for the leader to reincarnate or inhabit the body of a living member. Scientology is a bit like that, isn't it? Every ideal org has like L. Ron Hubbard's office somewhere because it's supposed to be a thing that, you know, don't write off the possibility of him returning someday. Groups that proclaim the coming of the Last Judgment may postpone that fateful day over and over again once their leader is gone. Followers will often blame themselves no matter how their leader left. Devotees may feel that they were not spiritual enough, did not honor the leader enough, were not worthy of the leader's efforts, caused the leader's illness or death by their bad behavior, were selfish, and so on, as this example illustrates. Guru frequently told Ruth V that in other lifetimes she had failed to become enlightened, and this was the last time he would come back for her. When he left for South America without clarifying their relationship, initially she felt abandoned. She had failed him, she was sure. Everything was her fault. The reality, she later learned, was that Guru was bored with the responsibility of the group, which she also felt was not profitable enough. He was seeking an easier, more lucrative way to earn a living. Gaining such knowledge, although hurtful, helped Ruth put the experience in perspective. The death of a leader may leave a group in crisis, particularly if it is unexpected. Struggles for control of the group may start up among various second-level leaders or members of the inner circle. Sometimes another powerful figure takes the former leader's place and gathers some of the followers around him. The group may split into two or more factions. Sometimes cults drift apart while waiting for the leader to return or while members try to sort out what they should be doing. I've been reading from chapter 6 of Take Back Your Life, Recovering from Cults and Abusive Relationships. And in our next lockdown live stream, I will begin the heading, Cancelled Out via Planned Intervention. Sounds fascinating. But yes, this is, I'm sure you'll agree, prescient advice for many of us who have been involved in high control groups. The vast majority, I know, of you watching along have involvement of varying degrees with Jehovah's Witnesses. Exec sesh. Oh, done it again. I go to click on a comment and it shows me someone else's comment because the thing's updating. These reactions sound like the reactions of a child when their parents get divorced. They think it's their fault. Yeah, they think they did something wrong. Well, in a way, Randy, that's what cults do, isn't it? They infantilize their followers. I think we see that in the JW broadcasting episodes, the way people are talked down to and spoken to as though they're children. You know, if you treat someone like a child for long enough, they start to think they are a child, you know, and it reinforces this this dependency. Van Coopersmith says, I I think your cell phone is too close to your audio device. Yes, I do have my cell phone set up, but that's because I'm trying the internet on my cell phone to see if that makes an improvement. So hopefully it will make an improvement. I apologize if you've had that galloping horse thing. That must be very irritating. In fact, let me just check the... I'd hate it if there's a galloping horse all the way through. No, it's not too bad, actually. I just wanted to check. Let's see, yes, one or two of you talking about a buzzing. I'm going to put the phone a bit further away. I do have it set up for another reason as well, which we will come to later. Fix the buzz, please, says Amanda. I've tried. Let me know if it improves. Right, you're all talking about buzzing. So instead of talking about the buzzing, I am going to bring in my green room, who have been waiting patiently and in a mostly clothed state. So here comes Mr. Weber and Sasha and Sherry. Welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Was it really that bad?
Yes.
Oh, that is irritating.
Really disturbing. Yeah, it was.
We just thought that you might have been being swamped by a horde of large-sized mosquitoes. Yeah.
It's one of those things where you try and fix one problem, glitchiness with the internet, but it causes another problem because I'm using the phone's internet, and obviously the phone is on, otherwise the internet wouldn't work. And has it helped at all putting the phone further away?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I've literally just moved it maybe 10 centimeters, but clearly that 10 centimeters has made a difference. I do apologize. So how are we all doing? How are things in Romania and Australia?
Wow, in Romania it's wonderful because, wow, our Australian friends don't know it, but yesterday Romania and Moldova were invited to a nationwide meeting via Zoom where reportedly 66,571 people got connected. And it first had to be some dedication program for some new branch facilities on the Cluj arena, but because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was moved to Zoom. And instead having Stephen Lett deliver a talk in person, we had two branch committee members deliver talks, and we finally received the silver sword in Romanian.
Praise be.
I am. It may not look like I'm excited on my face, Arthur, but inside I'm jumping up and down like a giddy schoolboy.
So this morning we had new PDFs for the Bible, for the November update for the organized book.
Hang on, I need to make a note of this.
We had the updated Teach-Us book, and for the first time, the How to Remain in God's Love book. And also the updated Good News from God brochure. So a lot of new and updated releases.
That's all they had?
And of course the convention program.
Right. I was going to say, I would be very annoyed if they didn't have the convention program.
We will expect the Pure Worship book in the next few days.
And from the point of view of somebody who's good at translating and that understands languages, how does the Society's material stack up from an academic point of view? Does it translate well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it does, although we've touched on this, Arthur.
Yeah, we did.
In one of my JW Broadcasting rebuttals.
Yeah, the September 2019
we found a few examples of where they just changed the meaning in other translations.
In 99%...
It doesn't matter. I'm talking from a theological point of view. It should be the same. None of this 99% stuff. Either you're going to translate it for everyone or you're not. You're certainly not going to change the meaning if you're going to be honest.
Sorry, I just don't get where Jehovah would only give 99% but not 100%. Like,
Yeah,
why?
indeed.
Because probably the friends in that 1% area don't need that 1%. Anyway, I'm not going to defend the organization. Yeah, of course.
And did they have any spelling mistakes like they did with the first release of the English version and the typesetting?
I haven't found one yet.
Was it Numbers chapter 17 or something? The running
32.
heads were incorrect.
32.
32. That's right. Yeah, I couldn't believe that night when that was released, or that day here in Australia. I was already partially awake, and I can remember saying to one of the sisters next to me, who was going on with such enthusiasm that Jehovah's Spirit was able to get this Bible printed even during the inclement weather, and everything took place perfectly and it showed evidence. And then I said, but they've made a spelling mistake here, or a typo at the top of this page. And I just sort of left that with her and dropped it, and kind of implied that he must have been asleep or maybe popped out to the toilet at that time while that proofreading was taking place.
Well, actually, it was because of the summer months. It was August 2013, and they were in a rush to print 1.5 million Bibles by the time there was the annual meeting, and they were on tight schedule. And obviously, they missed.
The hand of Jehovah was short.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Margus Nee Jr. says, Arthur, please do some JW mental gymnastics. Margus, don't encourage him.
No.
He really will do that if you're not careful.
Margus, your avatar of you giving a public talk was rather triggering there.
Nathan Kincaid. So,
Bible boner.
Yeah, that wasn't probably the one I should have. But thank you for that, Nathan. Thanks for immediately rendering my entire lockdown live stream entirely non-monetizable.
Well, it's all downhill from here, really, isn't it?
J Proctor says 10% correct is 100% misleading.
Well said, Jay.
I got serious grief, for saying incorrect rather than correct.
Oh.
I even had like a voicemail from someone suggesting that I had misquoted the organization, which obviously was supposedly hypocritical because I was talking about how they misquote.
Right.
And it's like, good grief, the meaning is exactly the same. We're talking about partially correct or incorrect. So
you realize, Lloyd, you're not allowed to make mistakes. You see, everybody analyzes every word.
Apparently, yeah. Diana Moreno says in Spanish.
Okay.
It usually stands up well. Did we find any examples in Spanish, Arthur, for our little thing that we did? I can't remember.
No, I don't remember it actually. Sorry.
Spanish is one of the few languages that you don't speak.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have to apologize, Arthur.
Okay.
You don't have to apologize. It's okay to not speak languages.
I only know a few words in Spanish, so no. It's among the languages I don't speak. Yeah, true.
KTM 1989 says, looking forward to Lloyd's rebuttal of the convention program. Well, as soon as I have that material, I will start work on the rebuttals. I do actually have, I can tell you, the talks for the 2020 circuit assemblies. So there are two.
Okay.
There's one with a branch representative and one with a circuit overseer. And I now have all of the talks, and I can tell you on Reddit, Jan is already talking about some horrendous material in one of those talks. So,
well, Sherry, this might be the time that we enact that thing we've been threatening to do. Every time we watch a JW broadcasting episode, or more accurately, we watch your rebuttals of them. Let's just say there's so many triggers that we've decided we're going to actually set up a series of jars on the coffee table in front of us. One will be the swear jar. One will be when they have a fallacious reasoning or misleading misquote, or when there's a strawman argument used, or every single time they employ every one of these triggering methods. And we're kind of thinking that maybe we'll be able to just subsidize our income by having coins appear in each of these triggering jars every time we feel like.
Yeah, it was just like when they were playing JW Bingo. They had some cards with those triggering words or phrases or whatever, and then they would adopt those cells when those triggering items appeared. Faithful slave or organization, praise Jehovah.
John Preston is among the 0.5% of viewers who enjoys your triggering, Arthur. So it's nice to know they are out there. Few and far between, but they are out there. And what we'll do now is I said that there was a reason for having my cell phone set up, and that is that we have a voicemail. Should we play it?
Yes.
Yes, we should.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Let's see how this works.
The buzzing's back.
Hello, Lloyd, Arthur, Mark, previous session, and Jimmy, all of you that are on this.
Very poor audio.
I don't
Yeah.
have any idea how incredible.
I'm not sure what to do about that because the phone volume is on the highest
Right.
setting.
Hello, Lloyd, Arthur, Mark, previous session, Naomi, Kimmy, all of you that are on this Facebook live stream. I don't think you have any idea how incredibly encouraging it is to be able to be participating and to be included in this live stream. My hope is that it will continue after you are released from your YouTube prison, and it won't be, it'll be an occasional thing maybe for you to keep doing these, but oh my God, it would be so good if you didn't stop. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, that
I don't
was
know whether
lovely.
you heard that.
Yeah,
but
we
that
heard it. We heard it. It was really beautiful.
That was
Thank
actually
you for the
Joelle.
message.
That was
Oh,
Joelle.
really?
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So
I could
lovely
tell there
to
was
hear
a
from
fellow
you.
Aussie accent there, definitely.
Look, who knows, Joelle? I guess I would like to keep it as a lockdown thing, and if and when lockdowns are hi, Cliff.
Hey,
Hey,
sorry,
Cliff.
my bad. I didn't know I was jumping in
I
right
added
now.
you straight away because
Oh.
you've been kind of flitting in and out, and I wanted to
Okay.
kind of catch you as soon as you arrived. So
Yeah, our fifth
All right.
panelist.
Yeah, man, Arthur, you just keep coming with those.
just on form. He's on form today, Cliff.
My
He is
goodness.
insatiable. He is insatiable.
I can see. How's everybody doing?
Not bad.
Very
All
good.
right.
So I was just
How are you?
there to
Pretty
answer Joelle's question about will the lockdown live stream continue. I've definitely got appetite to keep it going, but I guess inevitably at some point the coronavirus is going to be under control to the point where it's kind of past its sell-by date in terms of at least the branding of the show, So even if the lockdown live stream ends because coronavirus is yesterday's news, I'll try and do more live streams. I think that's the solution, isn't it? That's hopefully going to keep everyone happy, and maybe in such a way as we can have the same format where the JW Survey team and Arthur and Cliff can jump on as and when they see fit. So what's new with you, Cliff? You have a new video out.
Yes, I do. I sat down a few weeks ago and just tried to from
Uh-oh.
Is
the
everybody?
lost you.
Oh,
Yeah, we couldn't hear that, Cliff. Could you just
We lost
repeat?
you for a bit. Sorry. No.
Yeah, he's unstable a bit.
Okay.
can you hear me
dear.
now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll have to repeat all of that. We didn't get any of that.
Okay, yeah. So I just recently came out with a video on my fifth YouTube channel, and I put it on Facebook and everything. I'm basically explaining my background, Jehovah's Witness, and
dear.
Oh no, Cliff, we lost you.
It seems that technical difficulties are a feature of today's lockdown live stream, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Have you got to?
Man,
Can you
sorry
switch
about that. I'm
to
not sure what's going on.
switch off Wi-Fi? Maybe switch off the cell reception, or
Well, I'm on Wi-Fi. I'm on my.
it's glitchy.
But
It's very
Yeah,
glitchy.
not sure. It seems like it's coming
Yeah.
from my side.
I think what's happening is the Holy Spirit
Okay.
is trying to shut us down at this point, stopping us from telling our stories, frankly.
Do-
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Some would call it divine retribution.
Do you want me to just try to restart or something, or I'm not sure what's the best thing to do. Sorry about
Jason
that.
Wade is calling this. No, hang on, that's a different. So apparently Deanna's watching. Hello, Deanna. Hello to you as well, Heather. It's lovely to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. And Jason Wade is calling this a cliffhanger.
Ooh, my goodness. You guys are just on fire today. I'm gonna use that in the song, Jason. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Hey,
that.
try again. Try. We've got.
Yeah, we
try
just-
again. It seems to have
We
leveled
just
off a
left
bit now.
puns. We just left puns.
Okay, Cliff, can you try your story again?
He's frozen.
Oh no.
Okay. Maybe I should like shut down and try to restart or something.
If you
try from
try
your phone.
again, I'll be watching out, and hopefully it will happen in the middle of. Anyway,
Maybe we start your router as well.
just come back and
Yeah.
and we'll have you straight on.
You just try to restart and see
Yeah.
if that works. All right.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's a shame. Technical problems are hounding us in this particular lockdown live stream, and it's one of those situations where it fries everyone's nerves. It gets everyone tensed up, and probably the only thing that's going to get us back on an even keel is some kind of sophistication, some kind of culture. I just can't help but
From
feel
down
that
under, I guess.
I feel that
I'm
this is
thinking
a situation
music
that
calms the heart. Music
Yes.
helps to make us all feel relaxed.
here's some music.
Yeah, that wasn't the music I was after. All right. Well, for today's segment, I have a few fantastic little limericks that were sent through to us by a friend of ours, Simon. And so I'll start with those, and then I can get to my little waffling poem afterwards. So here we go. There once was an old man called Splain. About the worldly, he would complain. I can't wait, he said, till they're all dead. The man was completely insane.
Ah, very good, very good.
Very nice.
I do like
And now-
these limericks. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And here's another one, short and punchy. A governor called Stephen Lett. On the last days, he's made his bet. Any time he's pledging, but now they're hedging. Maybe it won't be just yet.
Ooh, very good. I like it.
Thank you, Simon, for sending them through. And thanks to everybody who's been sending through little comments, emails, limericks, poems, thoughts, suggestions. It's been really nice to see the interaction from everybody. It's not our segment, it's all of your segment. Well, this whole show is everybody's show. So thanks for all your contributions, everyone.
But you did mention you had a poem. You mentioned you had a poem. Yeah.
I got one.
I'm not going to let you off the hook that easily, Sasha.
Damn, I was trying.
I think if Sherry is going to have to put up with your perfecting these things, we may as well hear them.
Well, perfecting's a bit of a broad word. I'm not sure if we'd use that. But all right. So stick with this one. Stick with it till we get to the end. All right. There's a giant baby in office who's trying to say that he'll remove the lockdown in the month of May. Sure, he wants to avoid a financial depression to help people cope, but to stop them from stressing. But he seems to be missing the reason for lockdown. This ignorant asshat, this orange clown, is so drunk with his own narcissistic power that he tweets inane ramblings hour on hour, claiming that he's the one to stop the China virus, but it's medical advances and science that'll save us. So patience is needed before we open the nation, for fear it will cause a greater infestation. So please give science the time to find the cure, while being patient and kind, and help the world endure.
Well, that was a very politically flavoured poem, politically charged, you might say.
Bring it on, everyone. I know we have people of different thoughts, and that's okay.
Well, you say that. It's my channel, and I'm going to get the heat.
Oh,
but listen, what I've said before when people have complained is, look, I'm not going to shut people down when they voice genuine opinions. And those are opinions that I largely agree with, so who cares?
You know, Lloyd.
Yeah.
You know, Lloyd. Thank you, everyone, for those lovely contributions.
Yeah, losing Arthur's audio there. Technical problems just continue to beset this particular lockdown live stream.
Major
thanks for your
bless
comment,
your...
Matthew. Matthew Tino just dropped me a message saying thanks for that, so no worries.
Exactly.
Generosity.
Well, here's the point. Whatever opinion you voice, there's going to be agreement, isn't there? And especially along those lines.
Well,
So,
you know, we're all about people feeling comfortable to express their opinion, including those who have maybe polar opposite, including the dear person that was referenced in the poem. He's welcome to his opinion. But what we find is so important is to separate opinion from fact versus fiction. And all we are encouraging people to do is have your opinion by all means, but research things from reputable news sources, a variety of news sources. I know that one person challenged me saying that perhaps I'm watching the wrong news. Well, to reassure us that, you know, we look at a broad perspective of news when we get our information. And I just want to draw people's attention to a really great YouTube channel, if you're interested, that does exactly that, draws the distinction between fact and fiction. There's a gentleman that goes on YouTube by the name of Potholer54 on YouTube, and he had a fantastic video called Coronavirus Science versus Politics. So Potholer54, Science versus Politics, it just separates fact from fiction. Was the United States ready for this global pandemic? And it looks at, basically just separates the fact from the fiction. So I encourage everyone, jump on YouTube, Potholer54, check out that video, Ready for a Global Pandemic. And all it does is look at the facts and then leaves it people to make their own opinion from there.
indeed. Brandon suggests a drinking game. For every time Arthur gets muted. Wow. We'd all be sloshed, wouldn't we?
That's a great idea, except it's 5:30 in the morning. That means I'm going to be sloshed to try and get me work done for the day.
I will have my first drink.
Indeed, it's the evening here. The tables are turned because usually in the past when we've done these live streams, it's been the other way around, where Australia, it's been your evening and
yes,
vice versa. But we're shaking things up so that more people can enjoy the show.
Including the young ones.
And take a nice big dram of whiskey for that one, I think.
That's right. Hey, to give something a little bit more lighthearted too on YouTube, I've been doing a bit of a deep dive recently into some entertaining things. And there's a fantastic YouTube channel or video series called Misery Bear. Misery Bear. And it's a British TV or BBC production, 2-3 minute segments. Really fun to watch it. Misery Bear is about little teddy bear, and he's animated, and he gets up to all sorts of activities, including a lockdown, how he's handling the lockdown during this whole pandemic. So if you feel like going on a bit of adventure, a deep dive back to YouTube, jump on, search for Misery Bear, and have some fun with that.
Now, going back to our cliffhanger, to borrow someone else's dad joke, can we try and have your backstory to the video again?
Okay, yeah. So am I coming in clear, not choppy this time?
We shall see.
Okay. All right. So far, so good then.
Yeah.
So yeah. Basically, I just wanted to, before I released my album, I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of an explanation as to where I come from, especially the first song that I came out with being the song "Cost of Doing Business," about, you know, my background and losing my family and everything. You know, there's people that hey, what's up, Mark? I didn't even realize you're over here.
Hey guys,
Hey.
don't let me interrupt.
Yeah, no, it's
Good
all
to
right.
see you guys. Keep talking, Cliff.
Yeah, so I just wanted to just, you know, provide some context for people, and I wanted to I tried to take care to explain the background in a way that you wouldn't have to know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses to be able to follow what I'm saying and to be able to kind of understand, you know, where I am at this stage of my life. So hopefully I accomplished that. You know, I've gotten some really
it
nice
was very
feedback
much
so
for
far.
it was very much for a non-JW audience. So I like the way that you kind of presented your story in that context, rather than just assuming everyone watching was a former JW. So that was excellent. Yeah,
I appreciate it. Yeah. That was the main thing I was trying to do, because, you know, of course, I want my album and my songs to be something that people can appreciate just generally, you know, kind of regardless of what their background is. And I just figured it would be helpful if they kind of got, you know, kind of got more of a glimpse into, you know, into what has brought me to the point I'm at now, you know.
Yeah, and you know, Cliff, the sincerity that you have in the way that you presented that, you know, it comes across so honest and so sincere. It really reflects who you are as a person, and it shows that your work really comes from your heart. And the way that that video came across was exactly that. It's going to make people understand who you are as a person, and just really see your sincerity and honesty coming through in that. It was beautiful to see.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Sasha.
yeah. And we've had one or two
Yeah.
asking Cliff, what's the best? Where can they find you, basically? So, could you just remind people about where to find you on YouTube, and also how to get hold of your album?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel, because it had.
Yeah, we lost you there. Sorry, unless it was just me.
No, we all lost him.
Okay,
He's frozen again.
He'll be back.
he'll be back. Maybe Mark can communicate for him. Mark, where can we find Cliff's material?
Yeah,
And
did I
he's
lose
back.
you guys again?
Dropping you right
Yes.
in it there. Yeah, we did actually.
man.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm not sure what you heard. I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on.
The
I
question
usually
to start
don't have-
over is where can we find you on YouTube, iTunes, etc., as far as your music and your interviews?
Okay, sorry. It cut out for me again.
Yeah, so we were just asking where to find you in terms of your YouTube channels and your music. And Brandon's come to the rescue with if you're in the mood for writing down the full channel URL and scribbling it down so that you can type it into your device, Brandon is at your disposal.
And the rest of our panel could probably search that quickly on YouTube as well to assist you, Cliff. But yeah, we're just losing you, mate.
Okay. Rianne, I think, reflecting Many's thoughts when she says it's heartwarming, just fantastic. I think that was with regards to the interview. Please do check out Cliff's
Thank you.
interview video, which is on YouTube. I think it's just the YouTube channel for your music is Fifth, and your XJW XJW Fifth channel is still up for XJW content. Is that fair? Nope.
Dear.
Anywho,
Can you try from your phone, Cliff? In the meantime, we can try finding the references. Stay with us, everyone. Stay with us.
no, it's okay. So, what's new in Maryland? I think is the question on many people's lips.
Good question. Yeah, I actually forgot about the program, and I was on a phone call, and I was actually
You forgot about the coronavirus lockdown live
Yeah.
stream. How is this
That's
possible?
it.
gonna do.
Fire him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was working on a new.
Sorry, it cut out. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like one of those things where I'm kind of sad to say, you know, I'm working on yet another child abuse case, one that documents have surfaced from a former elder who has removed documents from a congregation that are really, I'm not going to give any kind of details, so I can just generally talk about it. But as you guys know, I work on a lot of the child abuse cases, you know, research wise, and there's documents that are being turned over that show just how much the organization knew about an abuser who lived across several states and was a Bethelite and was a presiding overseer, service overseer at different times, and also is and was of the anointed, or claims to be of the anointed. And so I just want to just express my appreciation for the people that have connected through Facebook and social media to make this happen, because the way these things happen is that people in one state found out about an abuser from another state, and they actually went online using Facebook and some other social media platforms, particularly Facebook, and they put out a call, does anyone know this particular person who was a victim of abuse? And that person ended up seeing the message and coming forward and saying, yeah, that was me, and I'm out of the organization now, and I want to do something about it, because now this person is experiencing survivor's guilt, you know, from having survived the abuse that he went through at the hands of this elder, and now is coming forward and saying, I want to make sure this doesn't happen to other children, particularly because the organization failed to take care of it for such a very long period of time, going all the way back to what they knew about him while he was a Bethelite, you know, serving at Watchtower headquarters. So for any of you that are familiar with the Roderick Watkins story, it's a very, very similar situation where you have an elder who lived in Bethel and then moved to multiple states and was having Bible studies with young boys and was abusing kids, and ended up going to prison for 80 years. But no thanks to the organizations and its elders who covered the whole thing up and kind of swept it under the rug. So I just want to say, you know, look, there's a lot of brave people, and some of these are ex-elders, some of these are wives of former elders that have said enough is enough, and they've come forward. And so I was working on that today, because there's a whole lot of information surfacing, because once you start scratching the surface and you start digging up information, then, you know, more stuff comes up. And, you know, in the end, a lot of our work, sadly, is about these child abuse cases, and it ends up, you know, helping to protect children by raising awareness. Same thing happened with the Catholic Church. I think with that and the Me Too movement, people are a lot more aware now of just how easy it is for a child to be abused, and for an organization, a community, to cover that up, and to do so in some cases unwillingly, you know, unwittingly and unwillingly, a congregation to trust these men, these elders, that, you know, end up covering that up. So anyway, I don't know that that's necessarily what's going on in Maryland, but that's sort of what I'm currently working on. And
you know,
never goes
Mark,
away.
With the work that you do, and so many others that you work along with, Lloyd and the rest of the team, I think so many people want to pass on appreciation, because this is not something that is enjoyable to work on. This is draining. This is emotionally draining. We understand that you're doing it because victims have gone through far, far worse, but we also want to pass on appreciation and thanks, because to be occupied by this sort of content and to be working on things that are so traumatic takes its toll on you and on the team that are working on it too. And we appreciate that, and we know that you're doing it on behalf of those victims who perhaps didn't have a voice or don't have a voice now. So Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much. It kind of it does desensitize you after a while, and you try not to let that happen, because if these things are really bad, these are people's lives that have been really wrecked by abuse and the cover up of abuse, and it's very easy to kind of treat it clinically. And I suppose there's some of us who are kind of meant for doing that kind of work, because some people that have either experienced it or maybe are very emotional about that, and rightly so, can't deal with it on a day-to-day basis. And thank goodness there's these attorneys that are really good people like Erwin Zalkin and Neil Smith and others that, they kind of see it clinically for what it is, and they're able to kind of process this information in a very legal way, so that what they do, I mean, like we know that the Montana case ultimately got overturned in the Montana Supreme Court, but that case actually led to another Montana case being able to be filed, because of the first Montana case, the Nunez case, that ended up causing the legislature to extend the statute of limitations for reporting child abuse in Montana, or filing a civil claim in Montana. So that case did a lot of good. And so now there's other cases that have come up as a result of that, even though they lost that case in the Supreme Court. And by the way, that case is, as we've talked about before on our program, that case has been refiled with a new defendant added, Watchtower of Pennsylvania, because we now know that Watchtower of Pennsylvania was much more involved in the knowledge and cover-up of child abuse than it claimed. It claimed that it was just the copyright holder of videos and books and magazines, but they're much more than that. They're all alter egos of each other, and they're moving money around to different places. In fact, Lloyd and I were just talking this morning online about the fact that there's even a Watchtower of Florida.
Did you? So let's just stop here now. Did you guys know that there's a
No.
Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Florida?
No.
Mark just casually mentioned it while we were having a WhatsApp conversation today, and I was like, "Whoa, just stop a minute! Did you just say Watchtower, Florida?" And he's like, "Yeah, did you not know?" And there are documents available on
the
JW.
the RTO in Fort Lauderdale belongs to Watchtower of
Well,
Bible.
I knew there was an RTO in Florida, but I didn't know that there's an actual Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Florida.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So my question is, how many states have a Watchtower Bible and Tract Society? Is it all 50, or is it like half of them, or what's the situation? Yeah.
But then there's the other thing. We've got Watchtower Society of Australia, Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, right. CCJW, etc. So how many different entities do they have, and what's their purpose in having it?
Dozens worldwide.
Right.
Yes, that's correct. And it's a business. It's a business. You can even find CCJW documents. There's a whole bunch of them from Arizona, where they have corporate members and addresses that end up like going to elders' homes. And it's just various ways of conducting a business, and it's the business of religion and their business of protecting their religious assets. That's really what it comes down to.
And this is why Loesch could stand up there and say, "I have never been employed by the whatever it was." Yes, I've
Watchtower.
never been a board director.
I don't answer to Watchtower. Watchtower doesn't have any power over me. And I was never a member of Watchtower. I'm not involved
Arthur is doing a German accent, in case you're all
I'm
wondering
not
what's happening
involved
at this point.
coordinating the day-to-day
Arnold
affairs.
Lotionator.
Yeah, no, that's right, because I was part of the other entity. Yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't always true. It was in the year 2000 that the organization took all of the governing body members and removed all of them from all of the corporations. And so now the corporations, the legal corporations, are all managed by trusted members of the society. So that's another conversation that Lloyd and I had because we were discussing this 2020 circuit and circuit assemblies. So Jehovah's Witnesses now have basically one-day circuit assemblies, like I guess in the spring and fall, and for those that don't get to see them at an assembly, which right now is no one because of the virus, they prepare, like they'll take some New York assemblies and they'll prepare professional video recordings of those assemblies. The one assembly is with the circuit overseer, the other assembly is with the branch representative. So we were looking at the one with the branch representative, and it turns out this guy is one of the guys that's a corporate board member of the Florida Corporation, Watchtower of Florida. So the names are actually matching up, but they don't tell you that. They don't invite that brother to the platform and say, and now we'll hear from brother Jimmy Smith, who is the board corporate vice president of Watchtower of Florida.
Yeah, because the meetings and conventions are of spiritual nature. So they present the spiritual credentials. Elder in which congregation, serves at Bethel, serves as a circuit overseer. And those have absolutely nothing to do with their corporate membership status as of 2001 when they started having only helpers in the board of directors.
Behind the scenes, though, the people who are in the know are aware that this brother, for example, is a member of this corporation or is the president of that. And I remember, my friend back in 2009, maybe it was, or 2010, we were at Brooklyn before they moved. Obviously, several years before they moved. And we had lunch at Bethel and we were taking pictures. Our friends wanted us to meet a couple of the Bethel heavies, as they called them. And one of them's a guy that Lloyd and I both know, which is Ralph Walls. Ralph Walls is quite famous for being one of the two.
He told me I had potential back in 2003.
He was right.
You did have potential.
Look at the potential that he's unleashed.
Yeah, he gave me the same spiel and he handed me his business card and he says, I showed him pictures on my camera that I had taken on the top of the 90 Sands building. And he's like, oh, you've got to send me those pictures and this and that and the other. And he was in charge of personnel. So he's the personnel guy, but he's also a governing body helper. And he's on some of these corporations. But then they introduced me and we took pictures with this other guy who was at the time the president of Watchtower. But the average witness doesn't know that. And now I'm escaping. His name's escaping me. I know you guys know who he is. But these guys are managing directors of these corporations, but the average witness has no idea what goes on behind the scenes with the legal
Tamar James says, does this mean that in theory any of these separate legal entities could go rogue? What it means, Tamar, is that Watchtower can move things around as they see fit. So they could say, for example, we don't have enough money to pay for this child abuse lawsuit, asterisk, but we do have money somewhere else that we're not going to divulge. So the more entities you have, the easier it is for you to shuffle things around and keep the money beyond reach.
And they can escape legal liability for the governing body members because the governing body is not a corporate entity, it's just a theocratical, so the ecclesiastical entity.
Yes, however, I want to bring something to your attention that and there's an article over on Avoid JW about this. If you go and look up the article about Ramapo, so what's very interesting about that, in fact, I actually turned over those documents because I was researching federal court documents from New York, and Watchtower got itself involved in a real problem when they purchased this Ramapo property some years ago and actually tried to return the property and ended up getting stuck with it. And now it's going to be a broadcast studio, but there's a whole story behind that. But what I found when I started uncovering all of the documents surrounding the purchase of the Ramapo case, and there was a lawsuit filed against Watchtower because of this. Basically, it was a sale gone bad. And I'm not going to go into all the details right now because it'd take too long. But it was a sale that went bad. And when I started reading the documents, what I discovered was we had evidence that governing body members, particularly Stephen Lett and two others, were calling the shots and were telling the legal department what properties to purchase, what properties to sell. In other words, we have a smoking gun that the governing body were consulted on all matters of a legal and financial nature. And so these documents ended up getting submitted in connection with the new Montana case, in which Watchtower Pennsylvania is a defendant, because they're trying to connect all these entities together to show that, and we know that Erwin Zalkin has gone after Watchtower as defendants in several newly filed within the past year, since August of 2019, lawsuits. So we've got, and I don't know the link. You guys could find it. Just look up Ramapo on Avoid JW, and you can find all of these documents that actually mention governing body members. These are their documents. They're their letters between the U.S. branch committee and these other entities that were involved in a legal transaction. And they reference back to Stephen Lett and 2 other governing body members, showing that they were in full control of the situation. That's very damaging for Watchtower. It's not what they want.
Now, earlier we tried to hear from Cliff. What we've decided to do, Cliff and I have been communicating by other means, and what we've decided to do is give it one more try. And if Cliff can't be heard, he's going to come back on Wednesday for the very next lockdown live stream. So let's give it one more try. Cliff, what can you tell us about the availability of your album and other avenues of finding you online?
Yeah, so it looks like my YouTube channel was posted. Brandon helped out with that, and I think someone else helped out with that as well. So yeah, that's where my music videos and everything is going to be posted. My album, which is dropping on April 24th, this Friday, it's going to be available on all major streaming platforms. As far as purchasing, it'll be on iTunes, and it's going to also be available on Amazon and I believe Google Play. So, if you would like to support in that way, definitely feel free to do that. And it should be available for pre-order. The hope was that it would be available for pre-order today. That's still, over here, it's still early in the day. So that's still possible. But, I'm kind of, to be honest, I'm learning a lot of these things since this is my first time putting out an album, and I'm, I don't have like a huge team of professionals and things like that. So I'm just doing the best that I can on everything, but it should be available for pre-order today or within the next day or two.
I would imagine it's a very enriching and satisfying experience, having cultivated and honed this music and these songs over presumably many months or even years for some of these songs, to finally see them on an album. Does it feel like you're releasing it finally to the world and you're interested in seeing what the reaction is?
Yeah, I mean, because I've been listening to it for a long time, as you're saying. So it's kind of, as I'm listening to it, I'm kind of thinking about, how it's going to be received and things of that nature. I was actually talking to Sasha a couple days ago, and I was telling them, they're usually when an artist makes an album, they've made tens or dozens of songs, and from that they've kind of chosen their favorite ones, and that's basically what I've done. So yeah, I mean, I'm actually very excited about it. It's really only been a matter of months. I recorded Cost of Doing Business maybe in September or something of last year, so, and that was the first one. So so everything else has just been within the last several amount of months. But I think it's a quality project.
Do you feel as though with the connections that you've made over the last few months, it's made it easier, or it's smoothed your path to creating music going forward? In other words, once you have all the right connections and you know who to call and you know which studio to record at, it in a way kind of frees up your creative process, because it's you know that this stuff can immediately be realized rather than sitting on it for years and years.
Exactly. I think when I used to just daydream about like, oh, it'd be cool if I put out a song one day, or if I did a music video one day, it kind of feels like an impossibility. Like, I'm not at the level of whoever, or Drake or whatever, whoever these people are that are putting out, music that put out music. But yeah, now that I've made these connections, like I said, with my videographer and my engineer and you know, have established relationships even with producers, music producers and stuff like that. Everything is just kind of falling into place, and that kind of frees me up to be an artist, because to be honest, I don't really want to be worrying about any of those things. You know, so it's nice to kind of say like, okay, well, I have one or two people that can do this. And so if I have an idea, it's just a matter of calling these people and, you know, and making it happen. Obviously that's pre-corona and hopefully post-corona, but you know, it's nice to know that I have that, you know, kind of have that at my disposal for sure.
And
Frank Rizzo says, looking forward to getting it, Fifth.
Thank you, Frank.
Just bringing in a few of these comments. Nathan Kincaid says, I'm buying that album faux show.
I like
Joel,
how you read that, Lloyd.
Thank you. I'm
nice
trying to give it the American accent to the extent I can.
Mission accomplished.
Joel Brown says, well done, Cliff.
Thank you, Joel.
And Chessa Mannion, who's been on recent Watchtower in Focus episode, says, so proud of you, Cliff. Keep making great music. Does it feel encouraging for you? Because obviously, you know, without wanting to go into too much detail, you know, the XJW quote unquote community, I hate that word, can be quite fractious. And
movement.
Is it kind of encouraging for you, the fact that, you know, XJWs are really getting behind this and rallying round?
Absolutely. I really appreciate that. And I don't take it for granted at all. And that's why I was happy with the decision. It wasn't an easy decision, but I was happy with the decision I made to at least make my first song, you know, about that experience. You know, part of it is just me expressing myself as an artist, but it's also kind of a shout out to this community, or whatever term, you know, you want to use, right? This group that I've been heavily involved with for so long, that has supported me just basically no matter what I've done, you know, whatever it is that I'm choosing to do, whether it's activism or otherwise. So, you know, I definitely appreciate it. You know, I get messages, I get the comments, you know, my plays on SoundCloud and all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of that comes from, you know, former Jehovah's Witnesses and people who have been following me and rooting for me. So I definitely, you know, want to express that appreciation to everybody, and, you know, and ask you to, you know, continue to support me.
Yeah, and for sure. And, you know, Cliff, I've got to say that with the power of social media and the movement or community, whatever that we have behind us, I know you made it very clear that you didn't want to just presume upon this community or just have your fan base from this. But we all have an amazing ability to play a role in helping to spread your music and to spread the popularity and publicize what you've done. And you know, it's like a bit of a snowball that can build up. For example, I know there's a few people that want to try and approach their local independent radio stations and just, you know, represent the album and say, come on, give this guy a listen. There's people that want to make it known to their local media outlets in their towns and in their cities. So, yeah, I'd love to encourage everyone to do that. If you know of an independent radio station that is always looking for new artists, go out there and talk about Cliff's work, spread the news, and get it out there, spread it on your social media. That this is the way the world works, and we can all then feel like we're doing our little bit to help you. And yeah, very, very worthwhile cause.
Thank you. And I've been seeing all the comments that Lloyd's been putting up, so thank you, everybody.
Yes, Murray Roach.
That support.
Murray Roach just said, Cost of Doing Business is a sick song. Legit made me cry first time I heard it. So, you see, I can speak gangster like the best of them. I think you'll all find.
I can't even speak gangster, so that's amazing, Lloyd, that you can do that.
I surprise myself with my talent sometimes.
Manchester gangster.
Speaking of talents, there is a segment on the show that we haven't done yet. And it's a segment that is known to bring people to tears. Frequently brings me to tears once the cameras are no longer rolling and I have a moment to myself. But
and if that doesn't work, Cliff can give us a freestyle.
Well, Cliff is perhaps the best place out of all of us to give some critique.
Lloyd, just so you know, it cut out like the last 15 seconds. I didn't hear. So if you said something,
it wasn't worth repeating.
Okay. All
But
right.
yeah, we're about to have a tour de force of talent.
Okay.
And yeah, sit back and enjoy. Sing along with Arthur.
You're live.
You've lost your audio.
I think he knows we're here. He's building up the anticipation. He's toying
Can we
with
hear
us.
you, Arthur?
He's toying with us emotionally at this point.
My browser just froze. So technically we also have some problem. No, don't share the screen yet because I wanted to do an intro.
Arthur, if you want to get all technical with me, this is a conversation we need to have before the lockdown live stream begins.
So the
I
thing
like
is
your history of Disney cartoons on the right. And
that
Peppa Pig.
I was being
An
inspired.
insight there into the sort of thing that Arthur watches on his downtime. But go on, Arthur.
So I was
Yeah.
inspired by some young ones for today's song, and we're going back to the 1987, and yeah, I've done a Disney theme for today, and let's roll the clip. Service to Jehovah God is the best life ever. You hope for life in paradise on earth forever. New life's a mystery that rewrites history. DuckTales, woo! 8 million publishers do DuckTales, woo! Preach and teach and disciple making DuckTales. The danger, it's the last day. There are apostates with deadly x-rays. What to do, just pray and stick to DuckTales, woo! 8 million publishers do DuckTales, woo! Preach and teach and disciple making DuckTales, woo!
Animal abuse.
From world headquarters in Warwick, New York, it's DuckTales, woo!
It's a good thing we love you, Arthur.
That was an experience, Arthur.
It was.
And there's no one on our panel better positioned to cast his gaze over your efforts professionally
than Mr. Henderson himself.
Yeah. Yeah, this would be the time that his internet cuts out. Yeah. How convenient.
Well done, Arthur, for being so confident.
I must say, Arthur, your song choices are getting more and more unpredictable. We had a French song in the last episode. Now you're singing like kids' Saturday morning cartoon songs.
Yeah, actually, the song from Saturday is by a Dutch band.
Oh,
the shorts were a Dutch band.
That is a piece of information I will almost certainly never need to recite. But thank you, nonetheless.
Hey, don't forget the other suggestion of the one that ties in with the hoodie and the
yeah
for our next episode.
Can you try again, Cliff? We couldn't hear you before. Yeah, we can't hear.
Sorry, I was muted. You're
Okay.
saying what part? What I was saying about the song?
Asking for your professional opinion on Arthur's efforts. Yeah,
I think it's amazing. I mentioned last time I was on here that we got to do a collaboration of some sorts because this guy is just
Wow.
his creativity knows no bounds. And like I was saying, I would have literally forgot that DuckTales existed until this moment right here. But that was one of my favorite shows. So you got the nostalgia aspect and everything. It's just, I think it's amazing.
feel like my memory of DuckTales has been forever altered. But what do you think to that?
Show.
What do you think to that, Arthur? You have a legit musical artist offering to collaborate with you. I don't know how, by the way, but you've managed it.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's an honor, you know.
It was great.
I really feel privileged.
Yeah, Denise saying that you were unbelievable. I would agree with that, actually. Gabrielle also reflecting the way I feel. And Greg as well. I can agree with what Greg says. So yeah, there's lots of reaction there.
Yeah.
Well, it can never be said that our lockdown live stream isn't here to entertain. So,
and Fran Koch Tava and Sean Tava say you made my day. So that's what we're in the business of here on the lockdown live stream. We want to bring levity. We want to bring entertainment during these dark times. One person who has been strangely silent so far is this man.
Hey, I'm taking it all in. You know, my cats enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
And Sherry, you're very quiet.
I'm barely awake.
Are you just in awe of Arthur's talents, or?
I confess to being a little sleepy this morning.
Sherry, are you still working? You've been doing a lot of work in the medical sphere. Is that still kind of fairly intense at the moment?
Yes. So I was at the hospital yesterday, and I'll be there again tomorrow. But yeah, fascinating times. Australia's actually done really, really well with flattening the curve. So our infection rate has dropped enormously, and there is talk of the government lessening some of the restrictions, but it's all being discussed right now. So yeah, it's a very interesting time, but we're continuing to see our melanoma patients and trying to do the best we can to keep them, to get treatment for them. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, and things are changing all the time. So I think just yesterday, New South Wales Health is going to start increasing testing. So they're going to be looking at whole suburbs now of just testing everyone. So very interesting to see how all of that is going to happen. There's been a few cases of community transmission, and it looks like, well, this is my interpretation here, that they're trying to get to the bottom of how those cases have happened, because there's a group of cases that they can't backtrack and can't work out where they came from. So yes,
is there a concern, because you mentioned that you work in the field of melanomas? Is there a concern that situations like that under ordinary circumstances would be treated with quite some priority, where people might actually end up dying because there's such a focus, because the health services are so stretched and there's such a focus on COVID-19, that there will be more mortality for other areas of healthcare?
Yep, that's definitely a concern. We have noticed that there's been a huge drop in referral rates, and a lot of that is because people are not going to their doctors. They're not going to their GPs. They're only going if they feel they really, really have to. And so things like skin cancers are not being detected at the same rate. So we have noticed that trend. That is a concern. And then there's also been some where they have been detected and there've been serious thickness, primary melanomas, nasty things that really do need treatment, but the patient is more scared of coronavirus and has refused treatment. So that is also a grave concern, because that's not going to go away. That if your melanoma is not treated, it's not going to go anywhere. So yeah, that is a concern on how we can continue to treat patients through this whole thing, and it is affecting our way of being able to treat. The guidelines for melanoma treatment have had to be revised purely for coronavirus. So it's fascinating stuff.
Indeed. And quite chilling as well. Rianne says, Sherry needs to know we love her. You are one of the heroes.
Definitely.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
And also another message here from Eric. So what do you think? What do you think, Sherry? Where do you feel your talents lie in terms of the segment?
She does have a good thing to quote today.
Little do you know. And I thought this might be helpful for everybody. I don't know what you want to call this segment. I don't know if I can continue it, but I've really been doing quite a bit of research on the psychology of coronavirus and what it's doing to all of us, because we're living in such a heightened time of stress. So I have a little thing to share today that hopefully will be some practical advice for everybody. And what this is it focuses on how the brain responds to stress. So there is a small part of the brain that's called the amygdala, and it's part of the limbic system, and it's key to how we process strong emotions like fear and pleasure. And it's actually where our fight or flight response comes from. It's the oldest primitive part of the brain, and it's how we assess situations as to whether it's danger or not. But when the amygdala gets engaged, when it's triggered, it releases stress hormones into our system, mainly cortisol and adrenaline. And the problem that we have with coronavirus is that we are constantly triggering our amygdala. We are constantly having these stress hormones of cortisol and adrenaline being dumped into our system, and that is not healthy long term. So what I've been doing some research in is how to counter the fight or flight response and what we can do practically to help counter the cortisol and adrenaline. And so everybody go down this rabbit hole and Google something called the relaxation response. And what the relaxation response is, how we can regulate our stress levels and what we can do to counter the cortisol and adrenaline. And basically, it's about breathing, but breathing in a different way that it actually counters those the stress hormones that are going on in your brain. So if you Google this, the relaxation response, there are several types of breathing mechanisms. And one of them, where did I have it here? Yes, it's controlled breathing is one of the techniques. And part of the controlled breathing is box breathing. So the process is that you close your eyes, you breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. So this is deep breathing. You hold the breath in for 4 seconds, and then you exhale for 4 seconds. And if you do that 3 times in a row, you definitely notice that you are in a more relaxed, not just state of mind, but physically you're in a more relaxed condition. And what you're actually doing there from the brain point of view is that you're releasing other hormones, other chemicals that are relaxing the amygdala. So I thought I'd just share that with everybody, because I mean, that's useful for many types of situations where our amygdala is triggered, any emotional situation really. If we're finding ourselves in a lot of stress, these are really helpful techniques to help us deal with the in the moment stresses. So there you go.
That was excellent and very fascinating and prescient advice. And what I think we should do is have a segment called Sherry's Comfort Corner. It doesn't have to be medical. It doesn't have to be medical. It could be anything that just kind of will bring comfort, like the Little Book of Comfort, you know?
Yeah, Sherry's warm hug.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
and you've got that other book, that segment from that book that you can share next
Oh,
time
yes,
too.
yes,
That
but-
large book that's in there.
I'll do that
Next time.
Right, so I'll do the music for that, and we'll have Sherry's Comfort Corner. That I look forward to that. Do you need to leave us, Cliff, or are you
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have to sign off here in a little bit.
okay?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the
Thank
way
you
it
for
works.
joining, Cliff.
And people can come and go. It's kind of a free thing where you can log in or log off. I don't ask you to give an accounting or anything
And-
like that.
Okay,
Again,
sounds good.
Cliff,
Well, thank you guys for
congratulations on
having
the
me on.
work.
Oh, thank you, Sasha.
Yeah, good to see you, Cliff.
Likewise,
We'll be waiting
Congrats.
for the 20th.
Indeed.
for all the support.
Yes, if you can check out Cliff's album, which drops very soon. And again, please check out his interview, which I think was really well put together. Very, very nicely shot as well.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
See you, Cliff.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
In the meantime, I put a screen share there, Lloyd, because I wanted to follow up on what Mark was saying about Ramapo.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
This is the article on Avoid JW, and here's the list of those documents with the
Oh, you mean for
correspondence between.
Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's Ramapo, not Florida.
Oh, for Ramapo. Okay. Yeah.
And here are the.
Yeah, that's
the three helper.
Leon. Yeah, Leon Weaver is the guy on the left. That's the guy I was talking about, that he was for a very long time the president of Watchtower. I think he either may still occupy that position or he got moved laterally to another corporation, but he's a long time JW. I'm not sure if he was a district overseer or not, but he's been a very high-ranking Bethel member for quite some decades.
And he's on the U.S. branch committee.
Yes, he is. Yes. There's at least 25 or 30 U.S. branch committee members, and what's interesting is that some of them overlap with the governing body helpers, because that's more of a spiritual position, right? Whereas you have the U.S. branch committee is more organizational and
administrative.
Yes, yeah, and it's branch specific. So. Yeah, those are the way that we've done that, when I say we, meaning that originally I got hold of these documents and the people over at Avoid JW got hold of them somehow, but I broke those documents down into separate documents. I just saw one that mentions, in fact, quite a few of them mention Leon Weaver. His name, if you look at the New York property records, his name he's a signatory on just about all of the properties that were sold from Brooklyn. Actually bought and sold back from the 80s, 90s, when they were still acquiring huge amounts of property in Brooklyn back in the 1980s. In fact, it was well written about and documented in Brooklyn newspapers. And then they reached a certain, pinnacle. And, in the last 15 years, they started making that decision. Hang on, guys, maybe we should cash in on these properties. And of course, they decided to start doing that and ultimately sold these properties to all kinds of people, including a few of the properties went to Jared Kushner and his investment group. Not all of them, but a number of them. But yeah, Leon Weaver's name appears on that. I should find that picture and share it with you guys. I think you would like that.
The coronavirus has very much dominated the news for the last few weeks, Mark. In terms of Watchtower in Focus episodes, where do you predict our show will go next? I really can't say, to be honest. But do you have any idea where the next big story is going to be?
Oh, wow. Yeah, you put me on the spot. That's interesting. So wow. So I think, first of all, the organization is sort of being pushed along by what's going on in, I don't mean to say just the media, but just with this virus. They're being pushed along by the governments more so, I think, than they've ever been pushed along, because previously when you had maybe a hurricane or some other tragedy, it was localized to a certain area. It might be in Australia, the Philippines, Indonesia. and JWs respond to it accordingly in their own particular way. Like, remember, Sanderson went over to the Philippines and there was a big JW response. But meanwhile, the witnesses carried on business as usual in all the other countries. But now we've got a situation where we've never seen this before, where the witnesses have stopped basically everything to do with. Sorry, if you hear noise, I've got a cat trying to get in the window here. And I mean that, getting in the window, not out of the window. They're attacking me. So you have a case where it's affecting all witnesses around the earth right now. And so where was I going with this? I think we've never seen this before, where the organization's literally been shut down. In fact, I don't know if you guys caught this, but the New York Times just released an article. Let's see. I can provide a link for it. Let's see here. I'll tell you the title of the article. The New York Times just released an article called "People Would Be So Receptive Right Now, and We Can't Knock on Doors." Subtitled, "The Pandemic Has Put a Stop to the Activities of One of the Nation's Most Visible Religious Groups, Jehovah's Witnesses." It's an article. Yes, it's an article dated yesterday, April 19th, by looks like Dion Searcy, who is a journalist and investigative reporter for the New York Times. Covers a lot of political things. She's on Twitter. So you could Google that, or we can provide. In fact, Brandon's probably going to pop up a link any second to the article. But it's interesting because, I was talking about this with some other people. I think we need sort of, like a balanced approach to the media, to show that the media is not trying to do all hit pieces against Jehovah's Witnesses. There we go. Thank you, Lloyd. So this is the article, and it's not necessarily a pro JW article. It's just an article about how the preaching work has basically been shut down, and it's talking about this woman. I think she's down south, maybe in Georgia, and I mean the southern United States. But she and others they interviewed. There we go. Calhoun, Georgia, has been affected in the sense that they feel that at a time when people need the witnesses the most, their witnessing has been shut down, all except for their letter writing and telephone calls. And even that's very, very limited right now, particularly in GDPR controlled countries where, witnesses are not allowed to maintain lists of people's addresses and names and then just go calling them. And there's very strong privacy rules in effect. So it's an interesting article. It's not necessarily pro or con JW. It's just, somewhat balanced approach. Just it's giving the witnesses, these particular witnesses, viewpoint of what it's like now that they can't preach, at least for now. But their view is that the world needs us. They need us. The voice of reason, Jehovah's Witnesses, at the one time when we're going to prove that God's going to put an end to this pandemic and disease and pestilence and earthquakes and all of these things. They need us more than ever. It's a bit arrogant.
Yeah, God's going to put an end to all these pandemics taking thousands of lives by killing billions of lives.
But where were they in 1918? We had the Spanish flu 102 years ago, which, killed. I mean, somebody can come up with a number on that, but I think it was more people than were killed in a world.
50 to 100 million other estimates.
It's estimated 100 million, yeah.
There we go.
So we have, just to conclude, because we are passing the 90-minute mark now, but I did want to share with you this is actually Eric Larson, who is actually in the comments. So hi, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
And
Hey, Eric.
I'm hoping that my Wi-Fi can withstand and not butcher your message like it did the last one, but we'll see how this goes. Oh, hang on a minute. I needed to click the box. I'm going to have to do this again. Sorry.
And for all those who want to send in videos, we've got the addresses available. You can send it to cedars1929@gmail.com. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Or to speakpipe.com/cedars.
Indeed.
So please feel
we-
free to contribute to the show.
Because that makes our show interactive, you know.
Well, while
A
Lloyd's pulling
worldwide
that up,
brotherhood of contributors.
I'd love to hear you guys what you think about what's coming down the pike. I can tell you this to answer Lloyd's question. You know, we're probably going to be talking about more child abuse cases because right now there's a moratorium on filing cases in New York. So there are multiple cases as a result of the Child Victims Act that are waiting to be filed in the state of New York. But because of the coronavirus and how deeply it's impacted New York, they have issued a moratorium so that these attorneys literally right now cannot file their cases, which are already printed out, ready to go. And so what's going to happen is the Child Victims Act will be extended probably by at least the amount of time that they were delayed by the coronavirus pandemic. So I think that we'll probably be talking about those in an upcoming Watchtower in Focus, some of the new cases. And I'm not going to mention names, but some of them we've already talked about, the cases that are being refiled that previously couldn't be filed. So that's in addition to the results of the fallout from this coronavirus thing. I think that's we're going to be one of the things we're going to be talking about in the next 2 months.
Yeah, there's usually no shortage of material for us to talk about on Watchtower in Focus. Right, let's try it one more time. I forgot to click the share audio box, which is all important, of course.
You're not the only one, Lloyd.
Amateurs.
Hello,
He's
this
Can
is
you
Eric
guys hear it?
Larson, and I just wanted
No.
to hop on
Yeah.
real quick to express my appreciation for these lockdown live streams. They've been absolutely hilarious, and I wanted to do so in the form of a limerick.
Oh, don't you dare.
So here goes. Every week, you
I do apologize. It's doing exactly the same thing again. I really need to get my computer looked into. I'm just going to go take it back to the beginning in case it's needed
Lloyd,
and drop the resolution as well. Is probably what Arthur's
Lloyd,
going to say.
paste the URL to me, and I'll share it on my end.
Yeah, you're not having any problems at your end, so that's a good idea.
While you do that, and while you send that to Arthur, can I just share a little paragraph? Because ultimately, this whole our getting together and chatting is to try and encourage people and give a little bit of a bright spark as well, not just to waffle on. But I wanted to just share something really nice. There was a little post, and just reflecting on the idea that we've never felt more connected to people and the world around us, and that despite terrible things that are happening in the world and the physical isolation, we're seeing a worldwide unity that we've never seen in recent history. Communities are getting together, people are getting together and looking for new and better ways to support one another. Heartbreaking realities, but humans are actually coming to the fore and caring for one another in a way that we haven't seen. And thanks to the advances in the technology that we're having these conversations. So we're actually living in one of the best times to connect to one another worldwide. So we could definitely feel united because there's people in every community, city, country facing this pandemic together and looking for ways to support one another. And we just want to encourage everyone, if you can see an opportunity in your community to reach out, to contribute to food collection services or community services, or to take the initiative to do something to help people who are going through this situation tougher than we might be, reach out and do it, because this is the true spirit of humanity that we're seeing through these critical times. So yeah, let's look for the opportunities to really do something positive to help one another. And we're seeing some beautiful stories coming from around the world like that.
Well said. And this is Eric's message. Hopefully working.
Hello, this is Eric Larson, and I just wanted to hop on real quick to express my appreciation for these lockdown live streams. They've been absolutely hilarious, and I wanted to do so in the form of a limerick. So here goes. Every week, you assuage all of our fears. The songs and the poetry move us to tears. So I took time out of my day just to hop on and say to Lloyd and to the rest of the crew, cheers.
There we go.
Well done.
Millers.
Nice.
Thank you, Eric.
Well done.
Wonderful. Thank you for that message, Eric. That was a treat.
It was.
And Eric is commenting. If I can show his latest comment. Love the positivity. That's what we're about.
I don't
Love your
recognize him
avatar.
though in his cloak.
He does look a bit different when he's in his apostate attire, it must be said.
Have we talked about the cloak trend yet?
Oh, yeah.
It's elsewhere on the channel. And Kimmy, where Kimmy is actually watching, Mark, but she's not with us. So
She's not here right now.
Oh, right, okay.
She's in service.
She's on a Bible study.
She welcomes Sasha's advice while she's on her Bible study. So I'll have to bring it to an end there, but it's been an absolute pleasure having you all on. We've had lots of entertainment. We've had singing. We've had poetry. We've had words of comfort. We've had a cat, which hopefully will help with the demonetization. And we've had Cliff talking about the wonderful stuff he's doing, which I think is allowing us all to vicariously, to some degree, realize our own dreams that we perhaps had when we were teenagers. But yeah, lovely to see what he's doing, and it's been fantastic to have you all on the show with me.
So what's our next?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you're off Saturday, is that right, Lloyd?
The next show is Wednesday, and the Wednesday show will be at an Australia-friendly time, not so much a Maryland-friendly time. It will be all the times are posted in the description below, but the next show will be on Wednesday. Yeah,
it's 1:30 a.m. Maryland time.
There you go.
We've all lost track of days and times. I mean, come on, what day is it anymore?
Indeed.
Or 2:30. Yeah. Anyway, it's 9:30 Eastern Europe, 8:30 Croatian time.
Very good.
Okay, so I look forward to seeing you, or as many of you as can join me on Wednesday. But that's pretty much it. Don't forget to stay safe, stay positive, and we will see you in the next show. Take care.
See you. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.